Hey y'all, happy Friday and welcome back, or welcome for the first time, perhaps, to Chef Live. This week, I'm really excited to have a few more people on than usual, and also to get to announce the topic for this this week's episode, as well as all of the episodes upcoming in May, as well as June, the first week of June. The theme for all of these is going to be ChefConf Online. If you are not aware, we at Chef Software have a yearly user conference. It's called ChefConf, and I've had the pleasure of attending 5 chef comps, I believe, maybe just 4, counting, and time is hard for me, so I'm not positive, but 4 or 5 years, I've been able to attend chef conf, and every year I get super valuable lessons, as well as some really fun interactions, and really good memories. Uh, that being said, there is this kind of global pandemic thing going on. And it turns out that meeting in very large populations in small spaces tends to spread the disease. So
Who knew?
this
Who
year,
knew?
right? It's like, who even knew that that was a thing? Uh, so this year we have decided that we are going to pivot our user conference and do an online user conference, which in my opinion is actually pretty awesome anyway, because we're a technology company. A lot of our community builds or maintains websites, or that's at least some part of their business. And so it makes sense that we are now pivoting to have an online conference. It is going to be June 2nd and June 3rd. And so today's episode is going to be a sort of guidebook on how you can participate in ChefConf in the coming month, and leading up to the actual event on June 2nd and 3rd. So we'll have sort of an introduction to each of the sessions that are going to be aired on the 2nd, and I'm like really I said before we started this call, I keep thinking of the word excited. I need to expand my vocabulary on this, but I'm really like I can't say stoked. That's just not an option. I'm really excited about this format because the month leading up to ChefConf is where our users can actually interact and have sort of those same really cool lessons learned, listen to awesome speakers, and like have their questions all answered. The whole month of May, we're giving everyone these opportunities to kind of pick and choose the sessions that they would normally attend live. And so the benefit there is, first of all, it's not all crammed into 3 or 4 days where you're like, some of the lessons I learn, I'm not gonna lie, are like erased by other lessons or overwritten, I'll say. Um, uh, you don't have this whole like compounded memory thing. You get to like learn something in week 1 of May, and then process that. And then in week 2, you get to learn something new or related, and that just like builds on what you learned before. So as a our team now is called the Developer Relations Team, but Robin and I and a couple of our other teammates originally came from the learning team. And so this is cool to me because it allows you to reinforce the things that you're learning, the lessons that you're learning, um, um, at an easier pace, in my opinion. And all of these sessions will be recorded so that you can then consume them on demand at a later point. So if you do forget something, you can just come back and say, oh, here's not just the lesson that I learned, but also the actual question I myself asked as I was learning that lesson.
I'm excited because it like really mitigates some of that conference burnout too, where you're like, oh,
oh
I want to go
yes,
to this session, but I can't because it's running with this other session at the same time. So should be fun.
exactly. Oh, sorry. Did I lose you? No, I didn't. Sorry. Anyway, yes, like absolutely you missed that burnout, which is such a real thing. And even if there wasn't a global pandemic to be spread around at a conference, I don't know about you all, but I've definitely come away from at least one ChefConf with like conference flu or whatever. So like this mitigates that. And I mean, there's just so many um, there's so many things that this mitigates that it just really, really makes sense to me. So I'm excited about that. Anyway, I see Echo Hack in the channel. Hey, how's it going? Hey, Brian, B Goldie, sorry, how's it going? Hey, Damicus, I think. I don't know. That's
That's
I'm
Dan.
really what? Oh, is
That's
that Dan
Dan.
Webb?
Yeah, it's Dan.
Ah, okay. Hey, Dan Webb. Ooh, this is wow, that's a perfect lead-in because I have a super exciting announcement. Strike exciting. Gosh. I have a super new announcement. It just kind of got solidified this morning. But Dan Webb is one of our amazing sous chefs, which is an awesome community contributing group that is responsible for so many so many of the aspects of chef that are um, that make things so easy that I can't even like catalog them right now.
No, I
um,
mean, just to like even point out how awesome they're like, our training content has heavily relied on the sous chef cookbooks for all 6 years that I've been doing it, and we couldn't actually make any of our trainings happen in like a digestible, easy to use format without their work. So I just can't thank them enough, even though none of them have really met me in person. I just can't say thanks enough to the work that they do. So.
That, by the way, to Dan and any other sous chefs who are listening, that I didn't prep him to say that, but it completely echoes what I said in a conversation I was having with the sous chef group this morning, which is that in every training or workshop I deliver, at some point or another, I reference sous chefs and I explain how much they have contributed to all of our solutions. So the announcement that I'm so excited to make and that this super long preamble has been leading up to is I had a conversation with the sous chefs this morning, and I'm excited to say that we're in uh, generally accepted negotiations to have another time slot here on the Chef Live stream where the sous chefs are going to share all of the amazing work that I'm talking about right now that that I have the inability to express. So stay tuned. We'll announce that on Twitter at the very least, on the chef Twitter. I'm sure There will be other places that you can see to see that announcement, but you can look tentatively on Thursdays to get a view into all the work that they're doing. So yeah, oh yes, Mandi in the chat said you can meet more of them. Oh, duh. This isn't the only place that you will have the ability to interact with the sous chefs. You can interact with them in their in their current habitat, in their
native environment, yeah, and their Slack channel.
Exactly. You can interact with them in the community Slack channel on Chef, which is called #sous-chefs. So if you hop onto there, shoot, I can't off the top of my head ever remember what the Slack channel is actually called. But if someone else has it, maybe Garth or Mandi. Oh yes, thank you, Mandi. So it's going to be community-slack.chef.io. Yes, Dan, please do pass on the feedback from us. It is, you are all amazing. Anywho, so this show, I'm excited to announce we'll have another time slot on Thursdays where the sous chefs will get to display what they're doing. And you will get a view into like all of the hard work that goes into that. And one last little teaser I'll say is we're going to have an intro episode on one of these upcoming Fridays where the sous chefs will join us, and you'll get to learn how, if you are interested, how you can join the sous chefs and become a contributor yourself, or just kind of peek in and get more insight into what they all do. With that, I will finish wrapping up this introduction. So today's episode, I mentioned, will be a guidebook on how you can interact with ChefConf Online in the month of May, and also the actual event June 2nd and June 3rd. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but one of the events that you can attend will be a conversation with one of our users, Graham Davison, who is actually also joining us today, and we will have a little bit of we'll have a conversation with Graham around what he's going to be presenting at ChefConf, but also his experiences over the years using Chef as a solution, as well as some of the common problems he's come up against just sort of in the infrastructure and technology realm. So, without further ado, I guess I'll kind of transition into that portion of this discussion. So stick around. Mandi and I will be talking about the guidebook and the different sessions that you can look forward to in addition to Graham's after this sort of conversation. So Graham, if you're there, go ahead and hopefully enable your video and maybe your audio. Yay. Hey, Graham.
Oh.
Hey, how's it going?
Things are good.
Awesome.
How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm definitely juggling a lot of things right now, just with all the ChefConf stuff coming up, which it sounds like you're also like very busy, not just with ChefConf, but other stuff as well.
Yeah, the recording date is coming up very soon. A little more quickly than I'd like, but there we are.
Well, tell us a little bit. Let's start out. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, what is your background? Where are the cool places that you've worked, or the cool things you've done? And then what are you working on now that you can share with us?
Okay. Guess I've been in the software and computing industry for just over 20 years now. Worked a number of places. Most recently, I'm at HashiCorp now, working on the Terraform AWS provider. So unfortunately,
nice.
not using Chef day to day anymore. But previously to that, I was at a company called Pay by Phone for 6 years.
Oh,
and
I use them all the time parking
yeah.
in Seattle.
Yeah, if you're along the Western Seaboard, North America, a lot of the big cities, Vancouver, Seattle, San Francisco, you can park with them using the app. And basically, I'd worked in software development, the web services and all that for most of my career. And then after about a year, I had done some working with a little bit of infrastructure stuff, a new project we were standing up, and kind of transitioned from there. The manager of the IT systems wanted to get a lot more automation in place, so we started a new team. I think there were 3 of us on the team to start with, and so I transitioned there from.
I think that sounds like a pretty common element in a lot of stories I hear too.
Yeah, everything had been manually configured and all that, and then so some of us went from the software development side into the infrastructure automation side, and then kind of things just grew from there. Eventually, many years later, kind of with staffing changes, kind of split that team away from the the corporate IT thing. I worked on it for a bit, and then eventually managed the team for a while.
Wow.
And then before doing for HashiCorp.
Nice. That is, I didn't realize that you are working on Terraform at HashiCorp.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you mentioned earlier that you saw the some of the episodes that I did kind of early on in the stream, where I was trying to build a Terraform environment.
Mm-hmm.
That's sorry. Now I get it. That's why that was
using the AWS provider. So that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I like Robin and I have been working on that environment. His is on Terraform 12 and like more advanced or more cleaned up than mine is, because I kind of forked the branch and was just focusing on one little thing. But we've been both like hacking on that Terraform package using AWS for like, I don't know, like 7 months now.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been really useful to us. So
That's good to hear.
Yeah. So excellent. What are you actually working on then at HashiCorp?
Basically, what we do is, anytime there's a service that you can use using Terraform, all those different resources and data sources, we basically implement those using the AWS APIs.
Oh,
so
cool.
Yeah, that's my
awesome.
day-to-day. A lot of community contributions. It's a very active project.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So
it's a little weird, because I thought, going from using Terraform and Chef Infra, day to day, thought, it'll be I'll have a lot of knowledge to take into using or developing on Terraform. But it's very different worlds. And I actually was doing some use of Terraform recently, and it was like, oh wait, this is so different than everything I do day to day. So when you're on the development side versus the using it side, it's a different world.
That's how I feel. I'll be honest. That's how I feel every time one of the Habitat engineers explains something to me. I'm like, hey, I understand Habitat, but then they talk about like how they built that awesome feature, and I'm like, I thought I knew what up was, but I do not. Cool. That's awesome. So you kind of are like combining.
Sorry, I think I'm having that audio issue again. So hopefully it doesn't keep cropping up too much. So yeah, a reboot didn't fix it, whatever the,
Oh no.
the issue is. Oh, could just be my internet connection. Yeah, can you hear me now?
to quote a phone commercial, I guess. Awesome. I was just saying, it kind of combines your like your 20 years of experience development and then going into like infrastructure management and all that kind of stuff. And now you're developing on infrastructure management stuff or tools. That's I think that's cool. Like I love those stories where people combine the like different skills that they have instead of like really focusing hard on one. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. Never
Cool.
thought I'd be doing that type of stuff.
Well, that's awesome. And we're glad that you are doing that type of stuff because it's awesome having you in the community.
Thank you.
Okay, so speaking of the community, can you tell us a little bit about the session that you're going to be presenting the coming week for, the session that you'll be recording, this upcoming week. Can you tell us a little bit about that and like what the sort of overarching topic is, what your goals were for submitting that talk in the first place, and maybe like what you're super excited about diving into.
Okay. Well, it's called Third Time's a Charm, introducing and evolving a Chef Infra implementation. So going over the kind of 5 years of the infrastructure automation that we had at Pay by Phone, and the different things we tried out, and the lessons we learned along the way, the things that no one should ever do and we shouldn't have done in the first place, and that kind of thing. And yeah, just a journey. And then some things I was looking at implementing before leaving, and then have played with now, and I think would have been a neat way of doing it in the AWS environment.
Cool. So sort of like lessons learned around not just Chef, but like implementing tools in general as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a few of the things will come out as, it looks like a technical problem, but it's actually a people problem or a process problem. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that theme.
Yep.
Especially like Mandi and I did a book club discussion around Gene Kim's The Unicorn Project, which is the sequel to the Phoenix Project. And both of those books are just like perfect examples of what you're saying, where like it might on the surface look like a technical problem, like, hey, it takes 17 weeks to build a test environment. Totally looks like a technical problem, but really on the, like, if you dig down a little bit, it's a process and person problem.
Yeah. I read the Phoenix Project, the first one.
Oh, nice.
Read the Unicorn Project, and that hit way too close to home.
Yeah.
You've been watching my team, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, are you talking about this person that I know personally?
Yeah.
Is this an allegory for my actual life? Am I on the Truman Show?
Can we still hear you there, Graham? I see your videos froze.
What's that?
Okay, you're back.
Sorry, I've had the dropout again.
You're good. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, it'll be
I hope
really
this isn't
interesting.
going to be a problem.
It's doing great so far, but it'll be really interesting to hear, kind of the overlap of tools and people processes, because, in today's world, we're really trying to look at how we can expose some of the other products that Chef makes for doing other types of automation, not just Chef Infra. And people who are familiar with Chef Infra try to use it kind of as a one-size-fits-all solution for things like application deployment as well. And I find that on some teams I've worked with, they try and force a tool that they've used and that they're familiar with, like Chef, to accomplish all these other tasks because they're comfortable with it. So it's kind of interesting, that crossover between tools and people, and finding the right balance between bringing in new toolkits and training up people, and at the same time promoting that cross-team functionality that we like to see.
Yeah, I think that'll be pretty interesting.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm excited to get to hear what you have to say and listen to your advice. And I am curious, without like spoiling anything from your presentation, if there's any advice that you would offer. I guess I have a few like personas, I guess, or types of people, or stages of interaction with infrastructure management and automation tools in general. But yeah, without spoiling anything from your presentation, is there any advice you would give to people who are like just starting out learning about infrastructure automation and maybe Chef Infra to begin with?
Infrastructure automation in general. I think you definitely have to know and understand the systems you're working with. If you're, if you don't understand, say and this is something that kind of tripped us up, all the different ways of starting services in different versions of and different distributions of Linux. And some things will try to abstract that away, but if you don't really have a good understanding of that, then that can trip you up. Or we work mostly with Windows systems, actually, and it was a fast trial by fire kind of learning for me, because I'd always been on the Mac and Linux side of things, and then like having to learn all the different Windows things very quickly. It helped having the team who had been supporting Windows systems for quite a while to lean on. So you definitely have to have that knowledge, or have people you can learn quickly from. That's in general what you need to know. And then for Chef Infra specifically, I think go straight to policy files. I think it's so much better than using, Burke's file or other things like that. And I know you have pages about why it's a lot better, and I totally agree. The longest time, dealt with the Burke's file way of doing things, and the number of times we hit incompatibilities, or even the error message when Chef Infra couldn't resolve a particular cookbook version. It was like it was hard to understand what it was saying. I think eventually learned how to decipher it, but yeah, it wasn't the easiest. So having everything locked down to begin with is definitely a lot easier.
You bring up a good point about Burke's file or Burke shelf management, and it goes back to like knowing your systems. The other advice, like there's a level of complexity there that policy files is like, poof, be gone. That's how I would agree with that.
I think that's probably the biggest thing I would say to someone starting out is just, as much as you can, just go straight to policy files. I think also making use of Supermarket, just because if you're actually configuring something from scratch and you have to build all of those cookbooks yourself,
oh my gosh,
there's just so much to do. And if you're using Supermarket, you can leverage a huge community that
quick sous chef's name drop
for you. And they do great work, and yeah, it's a great community there. And then just, yeah, sometimes you'll find a cookbook that is, almost does what you want, and you may have to tweak it, so do a wrapper of some kind. But yeah, everything that the sous chefs have worked on is high quality stuff.
Yeah, that like perfect plug.
Yeah. And yeah, I can talk a bit more about sous chefs later on, but yeah, it's a great organization. And I think the other thing, make use of testing frameworks.
Oh,
I think that's, and coming from software development, and I think I've often gotten a reputation of being a very test heavy developer. But I think, testing things, make sure they work, hitting different edge cases with, your different Linux distributions and versions. That saved us a number of times. Yeah, it's just really worthwhile to test everything. Yeah, it can be frustrating kind of getting it going, but
yeah.
It'll probably save you a lot of time in the end.
Yeah, that's an understatement for me. Like it's
in the training world,
so
it's just
time.
been so amazing, like stepping in with people that are trying to learn chef and don't understand the value of testing, because it's really taught as kind of like an intermediate level thing, or a something you think about after you learn how to use chef. And I've really tried to flip that on its head and teach testing as the way that you learn chef. And it's just tough to get around that testing is hard mentality,
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, maybe it depends where you're coming to the infrastructure automation from. Like if you're coming from a software development background where testing is maybe a lot more common, it's kind of well, of course you test, and I know that's not shared by everyone, but it's definitely, and depending on what language you're using, there's more or less of a testing community. But maybe if you've come up more on the sysadmin side, testing is something new. I think.
Yeah, test nothing. No.
Yeah. Does it boot up?
Prod.
It works.
Prod,
Well, especially when you're looking at Ruby for the first time and you really don't understand like the limitations of testing, and you end up not making sense because you're seeing some complex Ruby error message that can be really daunting and,
yeah.
intimidating.
Or even, or what to test and what things can be, will not be the same every time you run it versus what should be. And if you're testing every single little thing, I guess it's really a learning process, whether you're testing infrastructure or softwares. What do you test? Do you get 100% coverage? Do you get, test the important things? If you're configuring a service, you want to make sure that you're testing at least the parts that can change, and then test the very basic things like, is your config file actually deployed? Does it have the values you want?
Yeah.
But books and books and courses have been written and courses have been taught on it. So it's, it's not just, do this specific thing.
And historically, I think, testing is kind of just something that happens behind the scenes. It's not something that's kind of visually represented. For example, I think whoever's in the chat here, Bart, is mentioning here, like it's hard to get your mind around something like policy files because there's no visual representation of it yet. In the same way that there was roles and environments inside of Chef Manage. And I think testing is one of those things too that's just kind of ethereal, and you have to really understand how the system is going to work in the production systems versus in your testing environment to really be able to grok what the tests are trying to tell you in the first place.
Right.
Yeah. I'm curious. Bart says they've only been on the chef project for a year. I'm curious where you came from before that as well, because that definitely also lays into like the ability to kind of pivot from Burke's file or whatever management system you're using into like what we're saying. I definitely. I came to like systems administration from product testing. I like transitioned into a like super low level tier 1 systems analyst who like responded to I don't know if anybody on the call or anyone out there is familiar with SCOM, Microsoft's operations management tool, System Center Operations Management. At least that's what it was called back then. Basically, what's that?
I think I've heard the name, but know nothing about it.
Yeah, erg. Dan says erg in the chat. I wonder if that's because he feels my pain. But yeah, that's kind of how I entered the world. And I didn't even know what PowerShell was. Like I knew something was telling me this system was failing somehow, but yeah, like it you definitely there's definitely like a level of having to learn these new concepts as well. So yeah, Dan feels the pain for sure. It's wonderful. Anyway, sorry, we'll get back to ChefConf and Graham and infrastructure automation instead of Jody's like scars from a past career. But yeah, anyway. Oh yeah, debugging without tests is incredibly hard. Like you don't even really know. I mean, yeah, I think the fact that I came to systems administration from a testing background is like what allowed me to kind of take those steps, because yeah, if you're just like launched into it, it's overwhelming for sure. Yeah. Anyway, so my next question, or the next like level of user that I have questions about, is like, what is your advice to people who are at that point where you were at, either in software development, like moving into infrastructure management, or the other way around, or I don't know, just trying to move into like a different role in that same vertical. What is your advice to someone trying to do that? And like how, I think like my real deeper question is like, how do you advise people kind of learn in order to make those like transitions?
That's a good question. Trying to think how it's all in the midst of time kind of thing. See, to make that transition, I think if you're going from the software development side, like in a corporate environment or a company environment, I think maybe even just taking an interest in what the sysadmin group, or however your company is organized, kind of talk with them more, take an interest in kind of what they're doing. I think a lot of places I've worked, there's a real separation between the development teams and the sysadmins, and it's kind of and kind of an opinion I had before I got into it is like, I'm writing software, it gets deployed into an environment, a known environment that that I don't care about unless it's not working for the software that I'm writing, and they should just fix it. Which, not helpful, because the sysadmins, the traditional feeling of, well, we've got this configured the way it should be, and your software keeps changing and we don't want anything to change. And I mean, those are very traditional views, and yeah, I can drop the DevOps word everyone loves. Where
it's a process, not a job title, right?
Yeah, having the groups talking to each other, and I guess going from the software side, seeing, well, how does the configuration of these machines influence the way my software runs? How can these do things work in synergy? Are there ways that I can adapt the software, or that I can propose changes to the infrastructure so that, everything works better together. Our lives are easier. Oh, and also we deliver some value to whoever our customers are. Not entirely sure going in the other direction from more sysadmin to software development. I think it really, if you're learning how to write scripts to do administration tasks, it's very common on the Linux side. You're writing your bash or whatever scripts to run things. I think maybe on the Windows side, and maybe that's just my perception too. So I could be completely wrong, but there's a lot more, pointing and clicking administration rather than writing the PowerShell scripts. And I had to learn PowerShell quickly when I was doing a lot of the work in Windows, and it's a bit of a mind bender of a language. The paradigms are very different from Bash and all that, and I think the syntax can be a little weird if you're coming from other languages. But I think it's actually a really neat language. It gets some hate sometimes, but I think it's really cool, and be able to actually sling around objects instead of strings is it feels more like a real programming language in some ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, if you go from writing management scripts to then, eventually at some point you could get much more complicated or feature-filled types of programming, and then depending if your organization allows some kind of mobility or I'd like to try out this thing, be seconded to a project for a period of time.
Yeah, I really like what you said, like talking to the other team.
It's an amazing technology to talk to people.
Easy, right? Like all you gotta do is say, hey, what are you trying to accomplish?
And talking and listening, I guess. Depending on how you see talking, it's listening is also a really important thing in the tool set. And they'll have their own objectives and you'll have your own objectives, and how do you both line those up, or at least sand down the sharp bits so everyone can work better together.
I think,
and I guess one other point is that sharing responsibility for things like uptime and things like that. It's not just a sysadmin problem. It's not just a development problem, because your software is running on their infrastructure, so you both have to work together to get uptime.
That's a good point, and like a very good example of a concrete work process related implementation of empathy as well, like being able to listen, and like share that like you said, responsibility, share the load. Cool. Well, I want to open the floor now to you and ask, like, I got my questions answered. And it looks like, Bart and Sam, I think, are kind of chatting about PowerShell. Bart says, the way I really got to understand Chef. Oh yeah, shout out to Robin. The way I really got to understand Chef was following Robin's video series, really quality stuff there. So true. Robin has been such a, I love that his handle is Stellar Squall, because he's been such a stellar addition to the learning and developer relations team at Chef. Like the passion and knowledge and ability to like create an amazing instructional plan and like implement it is amazing. And we get a lot of feedback, but Robin's voice is very relaxing during trainings. So if you ever hear of Robin doing a workshop or a session, or you're hosting this channel, you tune in for a treat, because yes, his voice is soothing, I guess.
But yeah, to Bart's point there, yeah, the course is out of date. No mention of policy files. I'm embarrassed about that. But you know, what I do appreciate, especially about this conversation, is you know, Graham's mentioning a kind of you know, bringing these teams together to talk the mutual responsibility that we all kind of have towards the products that we create. And in general, you know, when I do most of my trainings, I see the people struggle the hardest that have kind of this more sysadmin-like background, where they're not really used to thinking of code, and that infrastructure is code, and that they haven't been really taken in by the organization or the developers to help kind of mentor them into that new paradigm of automation, because it's really difficult to automate things through a UI.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that you know, we really can think of these processes as, you know, calling people in and having more empathy for what each team has to do. I feel like that really is the key essential thing of what we're trying to do with anything automation related, because it does take people talking to each other. You can't automate your way out of the people problems.
No. It's been tried a lot, but no, fundamentally you can't. Yeah.
That is a good point. So Graham, sorry for that tangent, but I want to open the floor to you to kind of wrap it up. And if I didn't get at something you wanted to share, like, is there anything else you want to share with the audience before your presentation?
No, I don't think so. No, I think.
Could you and Mandi actually just describe for us then a little bit about how this is going to go? Because I know it's so different from filming a live session, you know, or anything like that we've done in the past. Like, what are you gearing up to do? And Mandi, how are you coordinating this whole thing with Graham?
Yeah, so these are all the breakout sessions. We'll talk more about this for the next part of the next segment. But all of our breakout sessions from ChefConf have, obviously, everything's moved online. And as Jody mentioned earlier, rather than like sitting you down in front of 8 to 20 hours of whatever pre-recorded video, we decided to give everybody the opportunity to join us live. So our breakout sessions, Graham's is on Thursday next week. He's 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Super late for all you Europeans out there, Dan, etc., etc. But we're using Zoom webinar to do the presentations. So we're capturing them there. You have the opportunity to ask questions of the speakers. And we're switching around every week. We'll have different days and times. So hopefully things will fit people's calendars when they want to. If you miss your favorites, join us on June 2nd. They'll all go into our video on demand platform and be available after the keynotes on the 2nd. So
yeah. So yeah, that is perfect segue. I will just reiterate. Graham's session is next Thursday at May 7th at 3 p.m. It's called Third Time's a Charm, Introducing and Evolving a Chef Infra Implementation. And you can join and actually be part of the live audience filming for his session on May 7th by following the link that I added into the chat, which it looks like a different format than the link you posted earlier, Mandi. Would you post the one you had? Because it just looks, I thought yours looked cleaner.
Oh, mine was the overall sessions page out of
okay.
the channel, the ChefConf website. So they're all listed there, but yeah, they're all Zoom webinars, and each session has its own webinar ID, so we can do recordings and all that.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Graham, I really want to thank you for sharing your time. I know you're already sharing time next week, May 7th at 3 p.m. As you present
When was that again?
Third Time's a Charm. Yeah. But thank you so much for sharing not just your time, but also your expertise and your experience over the years.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to, it's my first conference talk, so a little bit of the, nerves there, but yeah, looking forward to it, and hope you all tune in. And
before you go, actually, now I know it's your first conference talk, I have one more question.
Oh no.
Do you feel like more pressure or less pressure having it be online versus in person?
That's a good question. I think maybe different pressure, I guess. It's very different, I think, standing up in front of a crowd of people and being, exposed on that stage, and especially, making the effort to not hide behind the podium. And I think it'll be different focus, I guess, doing it virtually. Yeah, I think it's still, need to focus on the content and how it's presented, and make sure it's understandable and useful to everyone watching. I think the actual, during the presentation will be perhaps a little less nerve-wracking, but yeah, we'll see.
I understand. I studied theater in college, and I've been doing theater since I was like 5, and I still get stage fright before a show or before presenting for work or anything. So I feel you there. Don't worry.
Means you're doing it right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us. And once again, please join us May 7th at 3 p.m. For Graham's discussion about experiences in implementing different infrastructure automation solutions. And Chef, third time's a charm. Thanks again, Graham. Have a wonderful Friday.
Thanks, you too. Have a good weekend, everyone, and see you all next week.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Bye.
Bye. Awesome. So now we are going to move into the second sort of purpose of today's episode, which I am really looking forward to as well. We are going to talk about how you can sort of to Robin's question earlier, we're going to talk about the format of ChefConf Online this year. The sort of different formats. There are multiple formats you can interact with Chef Online this year. So we're going to talk about the different formats, maybe what some of the benefits to each of them are, and then sort of what our advice is for how to consume the content over the following month. So let's see. I will. Sorry, I have to get my backgrounds, my notes in the background, organized again. And let's just kind of start off with Mandi. Maybe you and I can have, and Robin, obviously, but Mandi, maybe you can talk about let's talk again about the sort of multiple formats that we can consume this in. So we have ChefConf, official ChefConf Online, June 2nd and 3rd. And we have a bunch of awesome sessions. They're jam-packed session. It's jam-packed with speakers like Graham. We'll have keynotes from Barry Christ and Corey Scobie. And then we'll have a lot of breakout sessions where you can kind of pick and choose which sort of tracks or sessions you want to, topics you want to dive into. Leading up to June 2nd and 3rd, though, because this is all online, we had a challenge this year of figuring out how the F we were going to do that. And so one of the ideas was to pre-record the sessions and then deliver them in the format that we're going to June 2nd and 3rd, essentially pre-recorded sessions all up there for people to consume on demand. And the benefit of this is that you get to have a live conversation, but then you can also come back to those videos and watch them later. How we recorded those sessions was kind of the like fun part of this. So I'm gonna like stop talking nonstop and hand it over to Mandi to talk a little bit about how we're recording the sessions and what that means for you as a participant.
Absolutely. So if you've never been to ChefConf before, the way our format generally works is we have 2 days that are like our core conference content. So we've kind of been using Tuesdays and Wednesdays, right? So in the mornings we have these keynotes, and then in the afternoon we have breakout sessions. So our keynotes are what you see on the agenda for January 2nd. There'll be Barry's talk, there'll be Corey's talk, there'll be a bunch of demos, there's some Q&A. It's like all of our announcements, right? So that's our corporate part. And then the other part that has been my responsibility for the past couple of years is running our breakout sessions. So the breakouts happen in the afternoons, and originally this year they were to happen like all day Wednesday. So we originally had a lot of slots, which normally my job would be to like find a room and put a speaker in it at a time. And there's some complexities there of like finding the right size room for a talk you think is going to be pretty popular, and like not putting the same content in the same time slot and that kind of thing. And I didn't have to do that this year because now we're online. And I decided that while we were going to have to record all of these anyway for the folks that were still able to participate. So like all this stuff that's going on has sort of impacted our overall community in a lot of really serious ways. Like we definitely have some folks that have been directly impacted. Their entire industries have been impacted. Other folks run critical infrastructure and do not have the spare cycles to continue to participate with us this year. So we see a little bit of a smaller lineup than what we've had in the past, but at the same time, like we'll be able to backfill after everybody's sort of calmed down and like whatever, and keep using this sort of like online delivery as sort of a practice to keep more content in front of you over the course of the year. So rather than just record everything and then drop it on you on June 2nd, what I've decided to do with folks is take our product tracks, and think about a conference track being this set of talks about X theme, and move those to weeks. So next week is Chef Infra Week and infrastructure automation. So Graham's talk will be part of that setup. We also have talks next week from CUNA Mutual Group and SAP and Nordstrom. So folks that have been using our stuff for a long time will talk about different aspects of working with Chef Infra and their journeys and all that great stuff. So each individual speaker, we basically scheduled them whenever worked for them, right? So I have the ability to move things around during the day, during a week. So you'll see that things are kind of spread out. So you don't have to like clear your calendar for like 8 hours to sit and hang out with ChefConf. While we'd love if you had that kind of time, we realize that not everyone does, and that like makes it harder for people to participate. So we're an hour, maybe 2 hours every day for the first 4 days of each week in May to sort of line up these as we're recording them. This gives everybody who wants to join sort of their favorite picks the ability to be part of the live studio audience, right? So ask your questions of the speaker. So that kind of interaction you don't get when you are just watching video on demand. So everybody has that opportunity if it fits their calendar. If it doesn't, like these are definitely recordings. They go onto the video on demand platform, and that will be available to everybody who signs up for ChefConf. So go to chefconf.io and sign up to register. It's all free this year. And that will get you access to not only the live stream on June 2nd, which will start at 9 a.m. Pacific, but also all the recordings that we'll be doing throughout May. So much stuff.
Yes. In addition to each of the sort of weekly themed presentations and sessions that Mandi has set up, each of our Friday episodes of this wonderful live stream, Chef Live, is also going to be dedicated to the theme of the week. So next Friday, since it is Chef Infra and Infra Automation Week, we have the pleasure of inviting Tim Smith, who is both a part of the sous chefs as well as one of the lead engineers on the Chef Infra suite of tools, and Lamont Grandquist, also one of the lead engineers on the Chef Infra tools, are going to join us. What's that?
They're the wizards.
Oh, yes. That's what I thought you said, and I'm so glad it is what you said. They are absolutely wizards. Like, I'm astounded by not just like the solutions that they come up with, but also the like quantity of solutions that they come up with and their quality solutions. Yeah, and it makes sense that Tim is on the sous chefs team because of all of the like contributions to our backbone.
Yeah, they really are machines. It'll be exciting to have them talk about all the new stuff coming in Chef 16, because it's definitely the most exciting release I've had the pleasure of observing with Chef Infra. So like all the new stuff coming out that they can highlight. I mean, really going to change the way that we teach and we approach like what chef is and how it works. And I'm excited to see this new paradigm.
Yeah, it's exactly like I could not have articulated it better. Yes. Anyway, we'll get to see some of the stuff that they've worked on in the last year, as well as some of the stuff that went into getting ready for ChefConf, and like having this amazing product lineup or solutions lineup, I guess I should say, to share with everybody. So stay tuned next Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time for that. In addition, we have on the following week, which is Chef Inspec and security and compliance themed. We will have, I just found out this morning that I need to secure a couple different people to come on. So I do not yet have names to share with you, but we will have a couple of engineers talking about the different releases the different features that have been released, again, leading up to ChefConf in Chef Inspec. We'll talk about waivers, and if you're not familiar with what waivers are in Chef Inspec, A, you're missing out, but B, don't worry, because we're gonna talk about them that week. They just give you a whole new layer of flexibility, and I don't know, the ability to filter better. And that's all I'll say about that, because you have to tune in 2 weeks to hear more. So yeah, and we'll also talk through just kind of the Chef Inspec language, and some like basic things that you can know to sort of get really granular or flexible with the tests that you're doing, and the security and compliance testing that you're doing as well. And then But wait, that's not all. The third Friday, well, I guess it's the fourth Friday in May since today is the first Friday. The fourth Friday in May will be our Chef Habitat and Application Delivery Week. And so here on the stream, we will have two of the engineers who work on Habitat, Matt Rock and Ian Henry, on to talk about some of the awesome things that they've implemented over the last year in Habitat. And if you watched the stream sort of at the beginning of this inception, you'll remember that we had just released Habitat 1.5. So we'll have some sort of discussion around lessons learned around that launch, hopefully, and they'll dig into some of the code and cool stuff that actually went into that artifact, that launch. So I'm forgetting something.
Well, can I jump in here then? I would love to
Yes.
hear you chat for a minute, Jody. I noticed everyone looks at the agenda for ChefConf, which I'll post in the chat here. So looking, we've discussed all the great stuff happening on June 2nd in particular. Looking at June 3rd, though, I noticed the Women in Tech panel and the mocktail hour, and then the trivia night. And I know you've worked really heavily on these events, so has Mandi. But I would love to hear about what you've put together there, and the inclusive nature of the event, and just like what's going on. What's that all about? It's on the schedule.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that segue. I love it. I would love to talk about that. So we have an opportunity this year. Our new community manager, Benny Vasquez, and I had an opportunity this year to work on a Women in Tech event for ChefConf, and it was very open-ended, whatever we kind of wanted to build. And so she and I had some brainstorms and brainstorming sessions and came up with the goal of wanting to have this event be something that people can take lessons away from and actually apply different skills from the session in their own careers, regardless of whether they're a woman in tech or really, I mean, the lessons, we wanted the lessons to be applicable to everyone, but we also want to highlight that they are coming from diverse experiences. And so we decided on a panel session. We have reached out to some folks in the industry that we feel have really strong stories of success against or in the face of adversity. And so we've pulled them together and we're having sort of a panel discussion, so you can join to ask questions. You can kind of sit back and enjoy the discussion if all you're really looking for is like skills to take away. And then after that, we're having a mocktail hour where everybody can join a sort of video call with their mocktails or cocktails in hand, and kind of have an open discussion about what stories they heard, the different sort of lessons or takeaways that they could find. And then right after the mocktail hour is going to be a ChefConf trivia night. So one of the aspects of ChefConf that is that's like, I always take away something from this element, even though the goal of the element is just to have pure fun, is game night every year. And it's just it's a really good place for people who, for all different levels of like social interaction or desire for social interaction, you can go and kind of hang out by yourself and do your own thing if you're feeling like you need to recharge, but still like have that camaraderie. Or if you're like me and you're outgoing and extroverted and you love socializing, it's like a really great place to kind of pop around and chat with different people. But also, like, I'll get really nerdy right now and say games are a really good way of learning things about people around you. And so game night is a really I just love it for that element, because it kind of allows people to learn and experience everybody else's like their learning methodologies as they're learning a new game, the way that they strategize, just a lot of different things about people, without the veil of like, I have to be super intelligent and impress people with the knowledge I have around chef, or I don't know. I'm not saying that anybody I experience acts like that, but like, I definitely feel sometimes I have to put a mask on. And game night is one of the places where that was an ironic choice of phrasing, because it's one of the places where you can take your mask off, or if you identify this way, put your mask on, and display it in a non-judgmental, inclusive environment where like
we have folks that put on real masks and dress up
yeah.
for it. So
and it's
definitely the only place I have seen some of our fursuited friends play giant Jenga.
Yeah, like
kind of awesome. Yeah.
And to me, that's a testament to how open they feel in sharing who they are, even if it's not based on Ruby or, you know, like my inspec persona or whatever, you know, they get to share their actual self in a way that nobody is questioning or judging. So
yeah, it's great. Like we get to actually come together. We've already got this common ground of infrastructure automation, application automation, everything, right? And so we share that in common, but it's really fun to just let all that go and find out who we are on the people level at those events. So I totally agree. And I think it's perfect that the mocktail hour leads into trivia, because what goes better together than mocktails and trivia?
Right.
But I just, I'm so grateful that you put together the panel talks and that that's happening. I just like diversity and inclusion is often an afterthought in places like this, and it's just so wonderful to see it on the schedule as a part of what we're doing together. And I hope that everyone feels encouraged to join this and learn something new, regardless of whether you identify as a woman or not.
Yeah.
And then have mocktails and bring all that into trivia night.
Yeah, I gotta say kudos to like my team personally for really supporting this. Also to a new member of our team, Mindy, who I know has gone to bat to make sure that it did show up like on the main agenda. So like I do definitely feel the love there, and kudos to you all. I almost said you guys and ruined it all, the whole message. Anyway, so that all being said, Wednesday is going to be a super awesome time. We'll have the mocktail hour, and then here on the Chef Software Twitch stream, we're hosting a trivia night. And I'm like super stoked about this. I've never used the integration that is being proposed. So it'll be like a learning moment for me. I get to expand my skills. Also, it's trivia, so I always learn something there. And you guys get to meet, you all, geez, I did it again. You all get to meet a couple of awesome chef advocates. We have Rob Kidd, who you may all recognize from the community. He's been a huge, just a huge part of the community. I am so bad at describing exactly what contributions these people have made, just because they are so innumerous. Like, I can't even start. So Rob Kidd will be hosting, as well as, I believe, our coworker here on the marketing team, Matt Lyman, who I'll just say, we did both graduate from the same theater school, so like maybe I'm a little biased, but he is one of the most entertaining people I have interacted with. Like, even if he's not trying to be entertaining, he still entertains me somehow. And so he and Rob Kidd will be hosting the trivia night. Join in for at the very least some entertaining banter between the two of them. But at the most, maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll come up with some sort of prize that we could give away for the winner of the trivia night. Who knows?
I don't know, to Dan's point, either way, everyone should wear their fox costumes.
Yes. Ooh, I do think we should have like a costume
party. Yeah. Oh,
I like
There
this.
you go.
I do, yeah, Dan. I
There's
mean,
the Jenga right there. Absolutely.
that's perfect.
I love it. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, that is amazing. Oh, Garth,
Now,
you
part
pull
of the
through
trivia
every time.
questions are being crowdsourced internally. So Joshua Timberman and I are digging deep into the lore for some real stumpers. So
Ooh,
I have to read up
into
on
chef lore?
Oh yes.
Ooh, exciting. Ooh, I am very excited about that. Gosh, seriously, I just get in a verbal rut with some words sometimes. If you've been watching the stream over, I don't know if you've been watching it today or even more than just today, you may notice my background, this wonderful poster sitting on an easel here. If you can read it, it says Mud Honey and Deep Sea Diver. If you can't read it, I just told you what it says. So now you know. And this poster also represents an excellent segue into another event that we're having as part of this ChefConf Online pivot thing. One of the other sort of gosh, I can't think of the word, key aspects, or one of the common
We throw hella parties.
We throw hella parties is what I'm trying to say. That's a really good way of saying it. And we always get at least Recipe for Disaster, Chef's like internal rock band. We at least get Recipe for Disaster to perform. Last year, we booked the Paramount Theater in Seattle, which I understand if no one else has like the emotional attachment to that as I do, but I was born and raised in Seattle, and like I mentioned earlier in the conversation with Graham, I studied theater and I've been doing theater all my life, so like that was like glorious like moment in my life and in my career, that the party was actually in the Paramount. So I got to like, I mean, I've been there a lot for shows, but I got to like party in the Paramount. That was amazing. And our company name was on the marquee, which felt like, oh my gosh, I'm famous. And the year before, we booked the House of Blues in Chicago. which I'm sure we have a lot of employees at Chef who are in the Chicago area. And so I'm sure I'll give a shout out to Trevor G. Hess, who also loves and studied theater. I'm sure he felt about the same, being able to go to the House of Blues and like participate in that. So long story long, we're also having an online rock concert on June 2nd. And that will be at 5 p.m. on June 2nd. So if you love the ChefConf party as much as everybody else appears to, join us at 5 p.m. on June 2nd for that, for the concert there. I think, let's see. Oh, yes. Okay, we've got the schedule. Dan said House of Blues was mind-blowing. I absolutely agree. That even for me, I'm not necessarily a music nerd. And I am not a Chicagoite, I'm a Seattleite. But that even for me was like, holy cow, mind-blowing. Yeah, is the perfect description.
Yeah, Derek Mazzoni hooks us up with our party planning, and he's a DJ at, what is it?
KEXP Seattle.
Seattle. And he's got some awesome contacts. So we're disappointed that we won't get to be at the original planned venue this year, but
yeah.
Personally, the year I liked the best was one of the years in Austin we had Brown Sabbath. That was
Stubbs. Oh my gosh, that was so good.
They were so good. Yeah, like I was downloading their albums like while I was standing in the audience, like listening to their stuff. That was really awesome.
I thought I was at a Black Sabbath concert. I was just like, oh my
cool.
gosh.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So yeah, music plays a big part in every ChefConf. Join us and participate in that. Oh yeah, we got Graham on the Twitch too. Yes, ChefConf parties are the best. They are pretty awesome. Shoot, I had a segue like 30 seconds ago, but now I can't remember what it was. I think
we're doing it live, Jody.
I know, right? It's all live off the top of my head. I think.
Oh, they're wearing a Brown Sabbath shirt right now. Sorry.
What?
No way.
That's pretty
amazing.
intense.
Oh shoot, I forget who Wake Up Godfrey is. Can you remind me too? I think you told us last week. If not, and you want to keep your identity private, that is absolutely fine. I will not force you to tell us. Yes. Oh, I'm wearing my ChefConf London shirt, I believe. Building the Coded Enterprise from last year at ChefConf London. That was also an amazing ChefConf party, although we did not have as like big a name band necessarily at the party. We did get to float up and down the River Thames though, which was amazing. So yeah, we're hoping to sort of capture that. Oh, Sean. Hi, Sean. How are you doing? That's awesome. Wake Up Godfrey is Sean Mouton, who I say this every time I introduce Sean because it is my literal, like, it makes me happy for no like explainable reason, but his name, his last name, Mouton, is French for sheep. So his name in real life, or if you translated it, and his last name into English from French is Sean the sheep. And I love that. So makes me smile in my heart. Welcome to the stream, Sean. Thanks for hopping on. And yeah, I love Mandi on her on your Twitter feed. I love all of the chef memorabilia t-shirts Oh my gosh. And I can't believe you are still going. Like, I can't believe you still have
I'm only to
go through.
2018. Like, this is ChefConf 2018. So I still have Community Summit 2018. I have at least one more like a general marketing shirt with a funny story that I'll tweet out next week. And then I can move into 2019. And it's been what, a month? Like, yeah, I still have a stack upstairs of and I'm missing some. Like, I must have a box at my mom's that I did not bring with me when I moved, because I'm missing at least half a dozen.
That's crazy.
Ridiculous.
I'm like, I thought I had a ton of chef shirts, but that I can't. That's like, how many is that?
And I don't have them all. Like, there's a bunch of like product shirts, and like APAC did some shirts that I don't have. Like, Nathan Smith has pretty much all of them, but he framed most of them. But I still, like, I'm pulling them out of the box to wash them, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Sorry. Hey, Alan, how's it going? And Bart, which one do you want? That's the question. We can probably hook you up with a shirt depending on which shirt it is you want.
I think the DevOps shirts are still on.
I don't have those yet. I need to get one of those. I should we should post a link to those in the
When are we going to have some exclusive Twitch swag?
Yes, that would be amazing. I would love some exclusive Twitch swag.
Right, I'll post a link.
Our amazing creative team. What's that?
That was the voice of God saying that we hit the Twitch affiliate.
Woohoo! Sorry. That's awesome. I think for those of you watching, you have just been part of an historical moment in time. Garth, my producer, who I mention all the time, and I have had a goal of reaching a level in Twitch stardom, not stardom, but like whatever their program is, to reach the affiliate level. And I think we just did, if I heard correctly. Huh? Yay! Which segues into what I was about to say before that, which is that Garth, my producer, who I mention all the time, is part of the creative team here at Chef. And we might need to wait for some Twitch swag, because the creative team is incredibly hard at work working on getting ChefConf Online ready, making sure all of our presenters have like a cohesive kind of presentation decks to go from, making sure we have like all these graphical elements that I don't even know about, but that I just like, I look at the ChefConf Online stuff and I'm like, oh, that looks amazing. Good job, guys. Good job, y'all. And I have no idea how much real work goes into it, because
I don't know how you made that flying cat rainbow across the screen just a second ago, but that's Garth for you.
Yay, unicorn cat rainbow. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Alan. Thank you all. This is awesome. So thanks for being part of this moment. Yes, unicorn rainbow. I love it so much. I think we used that on like one of the first episodes that we streamed, and every time it went across the screen, it distracted me and I had to like start over whatever I was saying. So that's now you get to know something about me. I'm easily distracted by unicorn rainbows. Anyway, I would like to talk a little bit about the sessions, at least the ones coming up next week, so that in addition to Graham's session on Thursday, May 7th at 3 p.m., you also know what else you can join in, and what discussions you can be a part of. So let's see, I think Garth had an awesome graphic, which like to speak to them doing a lot of work we started streaming at 11 a.m. and Garth was like, hey, I don't have a good graphic to put up for the agenda. And then by like 11:10 or something, he had slacked me and he was like, hey, I got a good graphic to put up. We're good to go. So like he is he's doing awesome work, and look how awesome that graphic is. It is beautiful. Oh, yes. So the sessions that are coming up next week are going to be aired on June 2nd during those time slots you see, where at 10:30 a.m. At 1 p.m., I think, right, Mandy? The 30 plus on-demand sessions, these are going to be the ones that people can participate in next week, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So at 1 p.m., starting at 1 p.m., we have all those on-demand breakout sessions. You can create your schedule around the different topics that you see at, what was it? The chefconf.io/session-recordings. That's going to tell you what all of these 30 on-demand breakout sessions are. Now, I kind of want to break into what is going on next week specifically. So on Monday at 3 p.m., we have Justin Rivate. Mandy, can you?
I think it's Rivate, yeah.
Rivate. Okay, cool. Justin Rivate from CUNA Mutual Group. And he's going to be presenting a talk entitled Mise en Place, Preparing Your Organization for a Successful Chef Infra Journey. So his discussion or his presentation is going to be targeted at helping you build out your plan as you're implementing Chef Infra in your environment. And the nice thing about this, in my opinion, is that it kind of doesn't matter where you're at in your Chef Infra journey. You could be like, Ruby professional, custom resources all over the place, and like you know what you're doing, or you could be brand new to Chef and you'll still be able to pull away some organizational, some like structural and organizational advice that will still help moving forward. So that is going to be Monday at 3 p.m. And I will, where's my Twitch channel? Oh, perfect. Mandy just posted in there the link for where you can register for that. On Tuesday, we have a like highly topical group from SAP coming in. We have Danjo Lopez from the DevOps COE group. He's the global lead. And like I said, he's from SAP. That is going to be Chef Infra for Dummies. And he's going to be sharing some of the different strategies and tactics that SAP uses to ramp up new chef developers. So this is going to be useful for people who are new to chef. You'll get really good advice on how you can ramp up, but this is also going to be really useful to any chefs who are building a sort of internal community within their organization, or interested in helping others in their organization learn the different practices and strategies that they need. So like if you've always thought, gosh, I wish I had the time to like teach other people the skills that I have so that they could help me build out more awesome chef stuff. This would be a good discussion to sit in on, because they give you a really good idea for how to structure that learning ladder, staircase, I don't know, plan. Like I said, words are hard. Okay, cool. Then on Wednesday, May 6th at 5 p.m. Eastern time.
Eastern, yeah, 2 p.m. Pacific. Yeah.
Ooh, yes. By the way, just for
Which is
reference,
like 6 a.m. in his time. So yeah.
Yes. For reference, all of the times I've been giving are Eastern time, not Pacific time like I usually give. These are all Eastern Eastern time.
Well, on the web page we did convert them over to Pacific. So
okay,
It does say
I made the
Pacific,
original
yeah.
calendar. I'm on the East Coast, so we translated it all back into Pacific, so it matches up with the stuff that's also happening on June 2nd. So
okay.
all times on the website are in Pacific time.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry for throwing a monkey wrench in those works. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Time is not my friend.
Time zones are hard.
Yeah.
Right now, time doesn't exist, so.
Well, yeah, that's so true. Matt,
What day is it?
Yeah, who knows even, right? Like, I don't. Anyway, our very own Matt Ray, he is the regional manager of customer architects for the Asia Pacific region for Chef. He has worn so many different hats at Chef that like his when he speaks, it is people listen, and with good reason.
When I started, like, he was our OpenStack SME, and like now he's like actually doing things that are useful.
Yeah, like
he's been all over the place. And now he's in Australia. He used to live in Texas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. As Mandy said, it will be 6 a.m. his time, I think, when he's presenting. So be gentle with him, don't.
No heckling.
He is going to talk a little bit about what we have talked about before on this stream here, and what Graham talked about and worked with a little bit in his last position. He is going to be talking about Terraform and Chef and why they're better together, which if you have been following along with the stream, like Robin and I are both so happy with what Terraform gives us. So Terraform and Chef together. It'll be a nice discussion. So yeah, check out his talk. 2 p.m. Pacific time, May 6th. And again, you can register at chefconf.io/session-recordings. Then on Thursday, we actually have a double header. So in addition to Graham Davison's discussion on third time's the charm, his lessons in chef infra and infrastructure automation, we also have a longtime chef user and community contributor, Mark Gibbons, joining us to speak. He's a senior engineer at Nordstrom, and he will be talking about the Chef Server API. So a lot of times when we talk about interacting with Chef, we talk about writing cookbooks and recipes, but there's also a sort of second side sort of topic or whatever. There's you also have to kind of manage a chef infra server and your chef environment. And so Mark Gibbons' talk is going to be about the Chef Server API, how to care, feed, and how to care for and feed it, and also how to use it. So he's going to kind of expand on the API portion of things for people.
Which is exciting.
It's going to be really super interesting and really technical for folks that are probably who already have a bit of familiarity with Chef and know what the main parts are. Just as if you're not familiar with the history, Nordstrom's been around in our community a very, very long time and have contributed back things like Chef Vault and a couple of other sort of advanced features that they've helped us with over the past several years. So like they have a pretty deep working knowledge of the background components of Chef and managing that stuff. So it's super interesting, especially for folks that have like a large fleet that they're managing and like are looking for efficiencies that way.
Yeah, and even if you don't, like if you've used tools like Knife, and you want to understand a little bit more about how, the chef server works at categorizing your cookbooks, maybe how the differences hopefully will be highlighted between policy file management a little bit versus some of the ways that Chef Info Server might track things in the past. That's all kind of part of the Chef API discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, and then as I mentioned on Friday, we will have sort of a wrap-up discussion on the Chef live stream here, where Tim Smith and Lamont Grandquist will be joining us to talk specifically about what like all of the work and the amazing features that they put into the recent Chef 16 release, as well as kind of give us a guide for essentially like putting together all of the sessions that you might have participated in the week, in the days prior to Friday, and kind of like wrap that up and give like, here are the lessons you can take away, and here's where you can go to keep practicing some of the ideas that you learned. Then we move into the security and compliance and Chef Inspect themed week, which is going to be awesome. On Tuesday, May 13th, we have Kyle Harper, who's a lead engineering manager at Cerner. I'm reading the wrong description on accident. Actually, I will skip that one for now because I think it is not 100% set in stone. So keep an eye out for an event on May 12th as well.
Oh, yeah, May 12th will be a Capital One talk, and I will post that. That'll get posted next week. So yeah.
Oh, awesome. Okay, yeah. Cool. So May 12th at 11 a.m.
11 a.m. Yes, Pacific time. There will be a talk from Capital One.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. 11 a.m. Pacific time, we'll have a discussion with Capital One. And we'll have more information about that shortly. As you can imagine, with first of all, an online conference content or format, as well as all of the like globally affecting issues going on right now. People need time to make sure they have time in their schedules. So we'll have more details on the Capital One presentation later. On Wednesday, May 13th, that is when we will have Kyle Harper, who is a lead engineering manager from Cerner. Speaking in a presentation entitled "Show Me the Compliance." And so in his talk, he's going to give you a little bit of his insights in using Chef Inspect and our compliance solutions, but also give you a little kind of hands-on knowledge on interpreting different like government regulations into the Chef Inspect language. I think specifically he will be talking about STIG profiles. Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, sorry.
A bit of that stuff.
Yeah, so he'll be kind of giving you some insight into translating STIG profiles into the Chef Inspect language so that you can repeatedly test for compliance in those areas.
Especially in the federal space. That's one reason it's kind of an exciting talk.
Yes, we do. We have a lot of people in heavily regulated areas. And so this discussion is going to be very, very valuable to those users who have a lot of governmental or regulatory agents seeking compliance with stuff. Anywho, on Thursday, May 14th, we have a couple of different sessions for you at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. Lance Albertson, who is the director at OSU Open Source Lab, will be presenting on multi-node testing with Kitchen, Terraform, and Chef Inspec. So this is going to kind of build on the sessions from the previous week, Matt Ray's session around Terraform and Chef, and also Graham Davison's session. I'm guessing we'll probably have some elements of Terraform and Chef in there. This builds on that sort of infrastructure automation story and incorporates the testing that Graham stated earlier was so important to the process. So at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, join us on Thursday, May 14th for that. Later in the day at 2 p.m. Eastern time, we will
2 p.m. Pacific time.
Sorry, yes, 2 p.m. Pacific time. Sorry. See, I can't even keep it straight right now. At 2 p.m. Pacific time, we will have a longtime member of the community who, like, I have a lot of admiration and respect for. Annie Hedgepeth will be joining us to continue the discussions around Terraform and Chef Inspec. Annie Hedgepeth is she's one of the reasons that I admire her and really have like a strong respect for her is she took something that she learned that benefited her in her career and then didn't like keep it to herself just to like boost her own career stats or anything, but like shared it out with the world so that other people can learn and use the same thing. So yeah. That's where
Annie's bio is super inspiring for anyone that's looking to like transition into tech as well. And she's just an amazing person. I don't think she'd remember me, but like just because she's super busy, but she does live in my area. I have met her before. So shout out to the Denver, repping the Denver area.
Right. Yeah.
And she's just an amazing human being. And if you are looking for more information on how to use Chef in really interesting ways and super, test heavy environments, like check out her blog and the work she does at 10th Magnitude. So,
yeah. So Annie's talk is going to be called Moving Security and Sanity Left by Testing Terraform with Chef Inspec. So even like kind of more interesting to me about this talk is that the focus is on testing a different tool, like using Chef Inspec to test Terraform. Whereas like my focus so far has been using Terraform to deploy like my chef resources and environment. So I'm excited to sit in on that one and kind of learn what Annie has to say. Then,
short intermission. There was a nice little, link there in the stream chat. If anyone does want some new swag, apparently we do have something to offer. So you can head to chef.io/2020_meetups or check it in the chat, fill out the form and you'll get some of our latest swag.
Yeah,
I think things are still shipping. If they're not currently shipping, then they will soon as
I think print fraction's still up and running. Yeah.
The page is still there. We're still collecting addresses for folks.
Bart
on track.
Reading her blog too, and it like seriously, It is amazing.
Yeah, check out her blog series for sure on Inspec. It's just like excellent.
Yep. Yeah. So then Friday the 15th, we'll be back here on Chef Live at 11 a.m. Pacific time. I can remember that one. Haha. We'll be back here chatting with, like I said, a couple of Inspec engineers. We'll talk about waivers and we'll dive into profiles a little bit and look at some Inspec code. And who knows, maybe we can grab what we learned from the week before about Terraform and start incorporating some tests into my Terraform package that I've been building here. Then we move on to the Chef Habitat and Application Delivery Week, which is going to be super fun. On Tuesday, May 19th, we are going to hear from, from Scott Lappin and Michal Riznik and Greg Schofield from Panera Bread and one of our partners in Deliant. They are going to, is that correct, Mandy? Are they presenting together?
They are. So this one, would really like to have as many folks show up to as possible. What they're going to do, this is going to be kind of a panel discussion. So Eric Calabretta, who works for us, is kind of going to be their moderator, and they're going to do like a 10 to 15 minute overview of their project. So in Deliant and Panera Bread have been working on habitat-driven project for automating the tech in their cafes. So it's been going on for a while, but they're still sort of in process. So they're going to share some of the lessons learned there. And then they are going to like take all your questions. So if you've been looking at habitat, if you're not sure what you think of it, if you have specific questions about how it behaves in the real world or out in public, this is a time to ask some folks who have really gone the whole mile with this project. So the folks that in Deliant are super sharp on habitat. They've helped us with the training. They have a lot of good content that they've put together. So this is a really good opportunity for anybody to come and ask some questions. And we're probably also going to have some of our engineers sit in as well, just however we can get into their schedule for that one too. So it'll be the session you want to be in for habitat stuff.
Yeah. Yes. The session. Exactly. You heard it from Mandy's mouth. Okay.
I'm super excited. Like, we weren't sure if we were going to be able to get them. Like, if you haven't been watching what Panera Bread's been doing, like their cafes have like switched up some of their business model. They're shipping like groceries in some locations right now. So like they've been really busy with the other stuff that they're doing. So we're super happy to be able to have them in May, and they've been generous with their time on this one. So yeah, super happy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool. Cool. Sorry. I'm just like little side tangents in my mind about how like the different reasons. It's awesome. Wednesday, May 20th at 1 p.m. Pacific time. I almost said Western time, whatever that is. Just making up time zones now. I'm sure that is the real time zone actually, but anyway, at 1 p.m. Pacific time, we'll have David McMaster, who's an automation engineer at Net Documents, and he's going to be presenting on a spectrum of chef habitat implementations in a talk entitled "You Did What?" So I am looking forward to that. I think it should have some fun elements to it. And we'll get to kind of tap into his experience and hear about his lessons.
Yeah, this is another really good habitat one. They've done all kinds of experiments as well. So really, really good habitat content this year. So
yeah, for me, I'm really excited because often you get the question of like, why I use Chef Infra to deploy my applications. Why do I need habitat, right? Yeah. And I think this is just going to be a real like clear description of what happens when you start thinking about automation application versus, thinking of an application on the infrastructure level. It's just a totally different paradigm. And I think this will make it super clear for people.
Nice. And that kind of builds on some lessons like Corey's keynote from last year sort of delivered too, with like, I know I said it so much last year, but like the layer cake, I just love it. It makes me hungry for cake every time. But like his layer cake analogy, it just kind of builds on what his whole talk was about, and trying to like break down that mindset where we've approached things from an infrastructure automation standpoint historically and say like, hey, instead of doing that, let's focus on what the application actually needs and then automate all those things. So yeah, helping out with application delivery and all that good stuff. On Thursday, May 21st at 12 p.m. Pacific time, we have another sort of Indelient presenter, Jonathan Corin, who's a DevOps specialist with Indelient and Shuttle Ops. Actually, yeah, I am not.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's talking about yet, other than it's gonna be habitat stuff. So
what's that?
Still waiting on his abstract, but he promised the time, so.
But
schedule.
As we've been saying, Indelient has been one of our close partners who have really dived into Habitat and helping people implement it, and building packages around your applications and all that stuff. So join at 12 p.m. Pacific time to gain more knowledge from Indelient and hear what they have to say.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, they really have helped build out a lot of our, the basis for our environments for teaching Habitat, and just like they were so central in the new Habitat Essentials courseware that we kind of put together, and providing us like great methodologies behind teaching it, because it is just such a new way to think about dealing with automation, and they're just super creative folks and very helpful, and I'm so excited they're going to be like doing a whole talk there.
Yeah, me too. And then we're going to close out Chef Habitat and Application Delivery Week here on the Chef live stream at 11 a.m. Pacific time on Friday, May 22nd. And we will have Matt Rock and Ian Henry joining us, who are both engineers on the Habitat team. And they've done a lot of the work. They're by no means the only engineers who have done a lot of work, but they've done a lot of work with Habitat, and they're going to be joining us to share some of the awesome things that like I said, they built into the Habitat 1.5 release, or into the product before the Habitat 1.5 release, I should say, and what they've been working on moving forward. We will also, in the theme of the week, we can maybe name it like Chef Habitat Application Delivery and Indelient Week, because we also are hoping to have Suraj Rouf, who's from Indelient, join us on the live stream to share his expertise and knowledge, and just kind of have a conversation around maybe where users or where Chef Habitat engineers can start.
Just gotta say, like, I usually am the one delivering classes, not taking them. I've taken a class from Suraj. He's awesome. So
really good.
Yes. So kind of sharing his insight in learning Habitat and getting started with it. So I'm really excited about that. And that brings us to the last week of May, which if you're familiar with Chef, you know we have a lot of different solutions, and they are wrapped up under three, I don't want to say flagship, but they kind of are three flagship tools: Chef Infra, Chef Inspec, and Chef Habitat. And so you might be wondering, well, you've already done 3 weeks in May. What is this 4th week going to be themed as? As I've been mentioning throughout this guidebook conversation, ChefConf, one of the best parts about ChefConf is it wraps all of these lessons and conversations in like a really fun package. So the 4th week of May is going to be themed like Fun Stuff Week. So it's going to be kind of a little bit of a grab bag of different fun topics in the chef realm, different like exciting things. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I missed the responses to my question about how to conjugate the verb to dive.
Yeah, that was great. Divified.
Divified is good.
But I could have sworn we had a much less not safe for work description for this week.
Internally, I've been referring to it as Cool Shit Week. So, but Yeah. Officially, it kind of takes the place of our like DevOps and that kind of thing track. So
Yeah.
It's cool stuff week.
So this is the cool shit week. And some of the cool stuff that we get to, that you have the chance to participate in, are on May 26th, which is that Tuesday again.
Tuesday. Yeah, Monday's a holiday in the US and the UK.
Right.
So we start Tuesday.
Oh man, I just don't even do holidays.
Maybe we'll know the holiday. So just...
Okay, cool. So the day after our holiday, as we come back from, I'm assuming, Memorial Day.
Yes.
Got it.
Or 2nd May bank holiday or whatever it is in the UK.
Yeah, that's
Can
good.
I just point out, Garth, is that image of Garth like doing a face palm, hair palm thing for Chef software?
Yes.
That's pretty amazing.
I'm glad that's what we used our emoji on. Garth, you rock. I love it. Also, sorry, so back to Cool Shit Week. In addition to the cool shit we just saw in the chat channel, that emoji, awesome. Well, hold on, because I do have to give a shout out to Garth's work and dedication to this company, which this week was made evident internally, but like broadly across the company. When we responded to a lip sync challenge, we, as in the marketing team here at Chef, responded to a lip sync challenge from the people/HR team at Chef. And in doing so, revealed the true nature of Garth's creativity and like talent. He dressed up in a real convincing, essentially Joe Exotic from Tiger King outfit. He had a tooth missing, a mullet. It was glorious.
I take it this thing isn't public facing, right? For the benefit of everyone.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh,
There you go.
Right.
Yes.
All
This
right,
is Garth.
Yeah.
This is the glory that is Garth. So like, when I talk about how awesome our creative team is here at Chef and how awesome Garth is, our producer.
That says it all. That just says it all.
Now you know. Now you know. So yeah, Cool Shit Week is gonna be pretty cool if that beautiful picture of Garth is anything to to measure by. And what is happening on Cool Shit Week, you ask? Get to the point, Jody. On Tuesday, May 26th at 11 a.m. Pacific time, we're going to have a former Chef community member, Sean Carolyn, who used to be my teammate back when I was on a totally different team. Sean Carolyn is also working for HashiCorp, and he is going to join us in Cool Shit Week to teach about easy multi-node configuration with Chef and Console. So he's going to dive into HashiCorp's console tool. Yes, sorry, I just had like a panic moment. Did I just make up an association? No, I didn't, sorry. Anyway, he's going to be talking about Chef and Console. So join to hear more about some of the awesome tools that HashiCorp has and how they integrate with Chef tools. Then
this is cool because, yeah, it really takes things to the next level. Sometimes in trainings, you know, we often get questions about how you can do more than we are able to teach. And so like one of those things is often, you know, Chef Server keeps track of all the node objects, as they're called, and really allows you to kind of have an idea of state that you can share between your nodes, but sometimes it's just not enough. And we find that often with like secrets as well. We have in some built-in tools that we can do for secrets management, but Chef combined with HashiCorp's tools is just a really powerful solution. And so this is why I'm really excited about this talk, is you get to see some of the cool state stuff that gets to happen with Consul. So yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of cool integrations between Chef and other tools, on Thursday, May 28th, sorry.
Oh.
On Thursday, May 28th.
You skipped the one on the 27th though.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
You're right, I totally did. Oh my gosh. Demith, I am so
Shuttle
sorry.
Ops.
Sorry. May 27th at the same time at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Demith Karuna.
I think it's Karuna Ratna.
Is that correct? Sorry. What did you say?
Karuna Ratna.
Karuna Ratna.
Karuna Ratna. Okay. Who's the CEO of Shuttle Ops, which you might recall from the previous week in Deliant and Shuttle Ops sort of integration. He is going to be presenting on the implications in DevOps of code, low code, and no code. So what those all kind of mean to users implementing automation or managing infrastructure or applications or any of this stuff. So kind of overarching lessons on implementing a coded enterprise, or building the coded enterprise, as my shirt advertises. You can get some awesome takeaways from that on sort of the processes involved in upgrading your internal processes.
Well, this one's going to be interesting because Shuttle Labs actually has a new product that they are launching next week. So I don't want to steal too much of their thunder, but I have seen this thing in preview, and it's actually really cool. So it's one of the things that, like, when you're kind of a tool developer, right? So Chef's kind of a tool, and it's interesting to see what people do with it, and it's interesting to see what people will do with it in a grander scale. So some of the things that Shuttle Ops have coming in this thing that they are releasing next week are super interesting. They make a novel use of Habitat with the way the integration works, and I think it's gonna be super neat. So they'll have their press releases in the next couple of weeks, but then they are giving us some time at the end of the month to really get into how folks who are making use of Habitat can also make use of their new product, and how all things flow together there. So it's gonna be super interesting for folks to see that one.
Nice. And thank you for pointing out that I missed that. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I don't want to miss them because it's like the thing's gonna be super neat. So yeah,
I'm really glad that you like dialed me back there, because that is like huge. And like we have the opportunity to like share kind of sounds like kind of this brand new product with Shuttle Ops. So that's super exciting. Neat. Cool. All right, then on May 28th, Thursday, at, oh my goodness,
it's
8 a.m.
super early, yeah.
8 a.m. Pacific time, which is going to be hard for me, but I'll do it because I love this speaker. Brittany Woods, who's an automation engineer at Carfax, is going to be joining us to share how to leverage the Chef and ServiceNow integrations that are available in a talk called Use Data You Must, Leveraging Chef Data in ServiceNow. Maybe there will even be some Star Wars, I don't know, images or references in the talk too.
Maybe, you know.
I hope so.
We'll see.
It's the year of Baby Yoda, so.
Yes. It is the way, whatever they say.
Repping it, Mandy. Repping
it. So Brittany Woods, if you attended ChefConf last year, or if you have the opportunity to go through the ChefConf videos from last year, Brittany was one of our keynote speakers. She talked about sort of organizational practices that Chef and sort of DevOps in general were able to help her, not just she did talk a little bit about how it helped her in her own career, but also like she talked about how she basically exploded open these organizations using these concepts, and really was able to like reform how people were doing things and implement these concepts in a way that really helped productivity in her organization. So join her May 28th, again at 8 a.m. Pacific time, where she will be talking about Chef Data and ServiceNow. So the same day at 12 p.m. Pacific time, May 28th, we will have Chris Todd, who is the Vice President of Engineering, and Keith Walters, who is the Director of Partner Solutions at Tap Here, with an exclamation mark, which I love because if you know me, you know I love exclamation marks. And their talk is going to be using Chef's effortless patterns, I believe, to build DevOps teams. And so this is really about using Chef solutions to, again, kind of like Brittany's talk from last year, to like crack open how your teams, how productive they can be, and automate the processes that they need to automate so that they can focus on the value that they add to the organization instead of building out infrastructure. Woo. And I think that leaves us with Friday, May 29th, where here on the Chef live stream, we will have a discussion, I believe, with Brittany. We need to go through and actually verify her availability for that. But you can look here to have a conversation with Brittany and learn from her some extra tidbits that maybe she didn't get a chance to share in her session. And also, generally have a sort of wrap-up session around what all the sessions leading up to that point have been about, and then what you should be excited about moving into June 2nd and June 3rd. With that, I've talked a lot, so I want to open the floor to Mandi and Robin to share anything that maybe I left out.
No, I think we covered pretty much everything. Yeah, I mean, I hope folks can join as many of the sessions as possible. Bring your questions. It's really your chance to interact sort of one-on-one or one-to-N with the speakers that we have this year. We will have other sessions that we'll be posting throughout June. Some folks, like you say, couldn't really make their session fit the schedule. So rather than having them drop out completely, we'll be adding some more stuff into the platform as on a rolling basis after June 2nd as well. So stay tuned for that. Hoping to bring in some of our other folks that are just having a time of it right now. So
yeah, and it'll be great to have everyone live in our studio audiences, as you might call it. That's pretty cool. So that's really these opportunities, but also anyone who's watching that can't be there to join that, or 8 a.m. Pacific's just too early. These are all available on demand afterwards. So keep an eye out for that.
Sweet. And with that, I think I'll close it out. We can sign off. And I will say until next Friday, when we are wrapping up Chef Infra and Infra Automation Week for ChefConf Online. Woohoo! Cool. Thank you all for joining, and I will see you live at the same time next week. Bye.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.